The Silent Ultimatum. The stars had always been a place of ancient hierarchies. For millennia, the galactic concord maintained order among thousands of species across countless systems. The older races, the Vexari with their crystalline technology, the telepathic Meridians, the biomechanical Telsoni, they ruled through tradition and technological superiority. When humanity finally achieved faster-than-light travel and joined the interstellar community, they were regarded as little more than curious primitives, assigned the lowest tier of representation, and given the barest access to galactic trade routes. Earth's ambassadors sat in the furthest seats of the Grand Assembly, their voices rarely heard over the telepathic debates and quantum communications of the elder species. Humans were tolerated, occasionally studied, but never truly respected. After all, they had only just left their solar system, while the Vexari had been traversing the void for 50,000 years. What the Concord failed to understand was that humanity's rapid advancement from planetary civilization to interstellar capability wasn't luck or stolen technology. It was the product of a species forged in constant adaptation and competition, a species that had survived its own worst impulses, pulled back from the brink of self-destruction multiple times, and emerged stronger for it. When the Vexari Dominion destroyed the Hope's Horizon Research Station in the Ta-CD system, they claimed it was a regrettable accident, a misidentification during standard military exercises. 97 scientists and engineers, working on terraforming technology to transform barren worlds into habitable ones, perished in seconds. The crystal ships had reduced the station to orbital debris before any distress call could be sent. In the Grand Assembly, Earth's ambassador, Dr. Eliza Chen, stood before the towering crystalline form of High Marshal Vexar. The Dominion extends its regrets for this unfortunate incident. The crystal being's voice resonated through the chamber's translation field. Reparations will be calculated according to Section 47 of the Lesser Species Accommodation Treaty. Dr. Chen's voice was calm, but her eyes burned with a cold intensity that made even some of the elder species uncomfortable. The people of Earth reject your characterization of this incident and your offered reparations. A ripple of surprise moved through the assembly. Lesser species did not reject offers from the Vexari Dominion. Then what does Earth propose? Asked Vexar, a hint of amusement in his crystalline tones. Earth proposes nothing, Chen replied. Earth demands a formal apology, full disclosure of why a military vessel was conducting exercises in a sector designated for scientific research, and the immediate cessation of all Vexari military activities within 50 light-years of any human installation. The assembly chamber erupted in murmurs and telepathic chatter. Vexar's crystalline form seemed to sharpen at the edges, a sign of irritation among his kind. Earth is not in a position to make demands, he stated flatly. Chen smiled. It was not a pleasant expression. With respect, High Marshal, Earth is precisely in such a position. You have 72 standard hours to comply. She turned and walked from the chamber, leaving confusion and derision in her wake. The Vexari delegation communicated among themselves through crystal resonance, their equivalent of laughter at the absurdity of a primitive species making threats. Deep within Earth's military headquarters beneath the Pacific Ocean, Commander Elena Rice watched the assembly recording with grim satisfaction. The ambassador had played her part perfectly. Initiate Operation Prometheus, she ordered, her voice echoing in the cavernous command center where hundreds of officers coordinated Earth's secret defenses. For the past 50 years, while maintaining the appearance of a struggling newcomer to galactic society, Earth had been preparing. They had studied the technologies of the elder races, not just replicating but improving upon them. They had hidden their true manufacturing capacity, their breakthroughs in quantum physics, their advances in artificial intelligence, and biomechanical integration. Humanity had learned long ago the advantage of being underestimated. Across the Sol system and beyond, shipyards hidden in asteroid belts and beneath the icy crusts of distant moons activated. Ships unlike any the Concord had seen before, not because they were more advanced, but because they combined technologies in ways the specialized elder races had never considered, prepared for deployment. In the Vexari homeworld of Crystallis Prime, the Defense Council dismissed Earth's ultimatum as primitive posturing. They did, however, begin preparations for a punitive expedition. The humans needed to be reminded of their place, and the destruction of a minor colony world would serve as an effective lesson to the other lesser species as well. The Vexari fleet, 30 crystalline warships, each capable of reducing a planet's surface to molten slag, began its journey toward the human colony of New Eden. Their plan was simple: arrive, demand surrender, and if refused, as they expected, make an example that would echo across the galaxy. What they didn't expect was to find Commander Rice's first fleet waiting for them at the edge of the New Eden system. The human vessels didn't match the aesthetic perfection of Vexari crystal ships. They were utilitarian, almost crude in comparison. Dark metal hulls with minimal markings, no decorative elements, purely functional. But there were over 100 of them, varying in size from small interceptors to massive dreadnoughts. Fleet Admiral Tsarek of the Vexari Dominion opened a communication channel, his crystalline face betraying no emotion as he addressed the human commander. "This is an impressive display for a species of your development level," he said, "but these vessels cannot possibly match Vexari technology. Stand down and prepare to accept our terms." Commander Rice, a woman in her 50s with steel-gray hair and eyes that had seen too many battles, smiled thinly. "Admiral Tsarek, I'm going to give you one opportunity to turn your fleet around and return to Crystallis Prime. I suggest you take it." The Vexari Admiral's crystalline features fractured slightly in what humans had learned was their expression of amusement. "Your confidence is misplaced, Commander. Perhaps a demonstration is in order." The lead Vexari warship charged its main weapon, a beam of concentrated energy that could slice through planetary crusts. It fired at one of the medium-sized human vessels, expecting to cut it in half. Instead, the beam scattered harmlessly against an energy field unlike any the Vexari had encountered before. It wasn't a standard deflector shield. It seemed to absorb the energy, redirecting it around the hull of the ship. Before Admiral Tsarek could order another attack, Commander Reyes spoke again. "Our turn for a demonstration." From the smallest human vessel, barely the size of a Vexari shuttle, a pulse of energy erupted. It wasn't directed at any of the crystalline warships, but at the empty space between the fleets. The pulse expanded into a sphere about 5 kilometers in diameter, then collapsed. When it vanished, so had 3 Vexari warships that had been within its radius. Silence filled the communication channel. What have you done?" Admiral Tsarek finally asked, genuine fear in his voice for the first time. "Localized space-time inversion," Rise explained calmly. "Your ships are intact, Admiral, but they're currently experiencing time at approximately 1/10,000th of normal speed. From their perspective, barely a millisecond will have passed by the time this conflict is resolved." She let that sink in before continuing. "We've spent the last 5 decades studying not just your technology, but that of every species in the Concord. While you saw us as primitive newcomers, we were learning, adapting, and preparing. Not because we wanted conflict, but because we knew that sooner or later, one of the elder races would make the mistake your Dominion has made." On the main view screen, Admiral Tsarek's crystalline face had lost its perfect symmetry, fractures of worry spreading across its surface. "The rest of your fleet can return home unharmed," Rice continued, "or we can continue this demonstration. The choice is yours, Admiral." After a brief consultation with his command staff, Admiral Tsarek gave the order to withdraw. As the crystalline ships turned and activated their FTL drives, the Admiral had one final question. "Why did you not use this technology when we destroyed your research station? Why wait and risk further attack?" Commander Rice's face hardened. "Because humans believe in giving others a chance to do the right thing. Our ambassador delivered our terms to your government. Your response was to send a war fleet to one of our colonies. You've made your choice clear." As the Vexari fleet retreated, urgent communications were already spreading throughout the galactic concord. The humans, the primitives who had been given the lowest tier of membership, had technology that could neutralize Vexari warships without destroying them. Technology that no other species possessed. Consequences of pride. The Grand Assembly of the Galactic Concord had never been so quiet. Representatives of over 300 species sat in shocked silence as they watched the recording of the confrontation between the human and Vexari fleets. When the demonstration of humanity's space-time inversion technology concluded, the chamber remained hushed for nearly a full minute. It was Supreme Counselor Nalthax of the Meridian Collective who finally broke the silence. The tall, silver-skinned telepath rose from her seat, her voice echoing through the vast chamber. "We have committed a grave error in our assessment of humanity," she admitted. "Their technological capabilities clearly exceed our understanding. I propose an immediate diplomatic mission to Earth to renegotiate their status within the Concord." From the Vexari section, High Marshal Vexar's crystalline form pulsed with indignation. "The humans have deceived us all. They presented themselves as technological inferiors, while secretly developing weapons of mass destruction. This is a violation of the Concord Charter." Dr. Chen, Earth's ambassador, had been sitting quietly in the lower tier reserved for developing species. Now she stood, and the chamber's automated systems reluctantly amplified her voice. "With respect, High Marshal, humanity has violated no provision of the Charter. We were never asked to disclose our full technological capabilities, nor did we ever claim to be less advanced than we are. The Concord simply assumed, and we allowed that assumption to stand." Her calm words caused another stir among the assembly. The Telsoni representative, a biomechanical entity named Coordinator 6, extended its sensory appendages in a gesture of curiosity. "Why would humans concealment your true capabilities?" it asked, mechanical voice clicking. "Greater technological recognition would have granted higher status, trade benefits, territorial rights." Dr. Chen nodded respectfully to the Telsoni. "Because humanity has experienced its own history of technological disparity. On our world, when societies with advanced technologies encountered those with less development, the results were often catastrophic for the latter. We wanted to observe how the Concord treated those it perceived as less advanced." She turned her gaze directly to High Marshal Vexar. "And we learned much from that observation. Across the galaxy, the revelation of humanity's true capabilities was causing ripples of panic, curiosity, and in some cases, relief. Smaller species that had suffered under the dominance of the elder races began to look toward Earth with hope. Perhaps the humans would be different. Perhaps they would be allies rather than overlords. In orbit around the Vexari colony world of Crystallis Minor, the situation was far more tense. Despite the retreat of Admiral Tseric's fleet, the Dominion's military council had voted to send a much larger force to demonstrate their superior firepower. 200 crystal ships, including 3 planet killers, had assembled for what they called a security operation, but was clearly intended as a show of force. What they found was not Commander Rice's fleet, but a single human vessel. Small, almost shuttle-sized, it appeared to be unarmed and made no threatening moves. The Vexari command was puzzled but saw an opportunity to regain some of their lost prestige. Supreme Commander Zelerix opened a communication channel to the lone human ship. "Unidentified human vessel, you have entered Vexari sovereign space. You will power down and prepare to be boarded, or you will be destroyed." The human who appeared on the view screen was not a military officer, but an older man with kind eyes and gray hair, wearing what appeared to be civilian clothes. "This is Dr. Richard Okoru of the Earth Diplomatic Corps," he said pleasantly. "I'm here as an observer only. The Concord Charter permits diplomatic observation vessels in any system where military buildup exceeds standard defense requirements." Zelerix's crystalline face fractured in anger. "Observer, you observe nothing. This fleet will proceed to human space and demonstrate the true power of the Vexari Dominion. Your technology may have surprised Admiral Sarek, but our full might cannot be stopped. Dr. Okoru sighed, looking genuinely disappointed. I was afraid you might say that. Very well. I am transmitting a data packet to your flagship. I suggest you review it before proceeding. The data packet contained only coordinate information, the exact positions of every Vexari ship in the fleet, along with a simple message, look up. When the Vexari commanders did so, they saw nothing unusual in the void above their ships. But their sensors suddenly detected something impossible. Thousands of small objects in orbit around each of their vessels. Objects that hadn't been there moments before. What is the meaning of this? Zilarix demanded. Those are automated defense platforms, Dr. Okoru explained calmly. Each one is equipped with the same space-time inversion technology you witnessed earlier. They were deployed 3 days ago, when our intelligence indicated your fleet was assembling. He let that sink in before continuing. They've been there all along, Supreme Commander. Your sensors didn't detect them because they exist slightly out of phase with normal spacetime. Another technology we've developed. If any of your ships attempt to move toward Earth space, or if you fire upon my vessel, those platforms will activate. The implication was clear. The entire Vexari battle fleet would be frozen in time, leaving the Dominion defenseless. Zilarix was silent for a long moment before responding. You speak of peace yet threaten our entire fleet. How is this different from the imperialism you claim to oppose? Dr. Okoru's expression softened. The difference, Commander, is that we have not destroyed a single Vexari ship or taken a single Vexari life, despite having the capability to do so. We seek only to protect ourselves and establish mutual respect. Your ships are free to defend Vexari space or return home. We ask only that you do not attack us or our allies. In the following days, as news of the standoff spread throughout the Concord, a new player entered the diplomatic arena. Admiral Ksel of the Nharl Republic, a species known for their strict adherence to principles of honor and their role as mediators, requested a meeting with both human and Vexari representatives. Unlike many in the Concord, the Nharl had always treated humans with respect, recognizing in them a kindred warrior spirit beneath their diplomatic exterior. Admiral Ksel, a massive reptilian being covered in iridescent scales and ceremonial scars of honor, spoke with the authority of someone who had earned his position through both wisdom and combat. The humans have demonstrated their power without taking lives, he said to the assembled representatives. This shows admirable restraint. The Vexari have shown courage in facing an unexpected threat. Both qualities deserve respect. He turned his ancient golden eyes to Dr. Chen. But humanity must understand the fear you have created. For millennia, the balance of power has been understood. Now, a species believed to be in its infancy has weapons that render our strongest defenses obsolete. This creates instability. Dr. Chen nodded. We understand, Admiral. That's why we've revealed only defensive technologies. We seek to protect ourselves, not to conquer or control others. Words, spat High Marshal Vexar. You have deceived the Concord once. Why should we believe you now? Admiral Ksel raised a massive, clawed hand. Because they could have destroyed your fleets but chose not to. Because when presented with aggression, they responded with measured defense. He fixed Vexar with a stern gaze. And because the alternative is conflict that will benefit no one. After days of negotiation, a new agreement was reached. Humanity would be granted full membership status in the Concord, with all the rights and responsibilities that entailed. In return, they would share some of their defensive technologies, not the space-time inversion capability, but improved shield systems and early warning networks that would benefit all species. The Vexari Dominion, while initially resistant, eventually recognized the political reality. With the support of the Nharl Republic and the surprising backing of the Telsoni Consensus, who were fascinated by humanity's approach to technological integration, a new era of galactic politics began to take shape. Commander Elena Reyes, now promoted to Admiral, stood with Dr. Chen on the observation deck of Earth's new embassy station in orbit around the neutral world of Concordia. Below them, representatives from dozens of species mingled in what was quickly becoming the new center of galactic diplomacy. "Do you think they understand yet?" Rise asked quietly. Dr. Chen watched as a Vexari diplomat engaged in earnest conversation with an Harl cultural attaché. "Some do, the ones who matter. And the others will learn, just as we did." Chen turned to look at the stars beyond the transparent aluminum viewport. "Humanity's greatest strength has never been our technology, Elena. It's our adaptability, our ability to learn from our mistakes and grow beyond them." She gestured to the gathering below. "For millennia, the elder races have been static, secure in their position at the top of the galactic hierarchy. They stopped evolving, stopped adapting. We've given them a reason to start again." Admiral Rice smiled slightly. "And ourselves. What has this taught us?" "That we were right to prepare for the worst," Chen said, "but that we're at our best when we find another way." She tapped a control panel, bringing up a holographic display of Earth's defense network, now being adapted to protect the homeworlds of a dozen former, lesser species who had formed a mutual defense pact with humanity. "We came to the stars ready for war," the ambassador continued, "but what we found is an opportunity to build something better. Not human dominance, not Vexari dominance, but a true concord, one where strength is measured not by how much power you wield, but by how wisely you use it." As night fell over Concordia, ships from across the galaxy continued to arrive, some out of fear, others out of hope, all of them aware that the old order had changed forever. Humanity had taken off its mask of deference, revealing not the warmongers some had feared, but something perhaps more frightening to the elder races, a species that refused to accept the limitations others would place upon it. The galaxy had panicked when humans took the gloves off, only to discover that their bare hands weren't reaching for weapons, but extended in an offer to help others stand as equals. For some, this was more terrifying than any weapon could be. For others, it was the dawn of a new age, one where the stars themselves were no longer the domain of ancient hierarchies, but a frontier of unlimited possibility. And all because the galaxy had made one simple mistake. They had underestimated Earth.